Hey everybody, hope you had a great trading day. There is a ton to go over tonight. Let's throw in that pre and post data. As always, subscribe to the channel and click all notifications. What we go over here is extremely timely. So you're seeing this Bed Bath & Beyond actually come down a little bit. This hit the tape a little bit ago that there is a form floating around that RC Ventures is going to sell 9.5 million shares. Whether this is accurate or not accurate, to me, this is going to be kind of a marathon. I don't think this is a race. So I'm not saying that you can't come down. I'm just saying that this is going to bounce around. These kinds of, quote, leaks, when you start to see them, could just be to shake the tree a little bit, get people out of their positions. This kind of stuff, when people are stuck and they have to buy stock, meaning the option market makers have to buy stock because of all the out-of-the-money calls people are buying, then you have a real problem. So, as market makers go, there's their negative delta every time you buy a call. They want to be delta neutral. They have to buy stock. Hence, that's why people buy out-of-the-money long-term calls. My thought on this with the people buying calls out to January, which was kind of interesting, reminded me a lot of this. And I'm not suggesting you're going to see something like that, but I do think that the possibility of seeing something like that, it's doable. I don't know that you're going to see this. I don't know that we'll ever see this again, but I do think you can see a very powerful move still in Bed Bath & Beyond. So I would not rule this out because it's coming back down. I see if it could wash out maybe tomorrow, that 1860 level. Let's watch that again. You could even pull back down to 13 before going again. So I would not rule this out because of this news, but I did think it was important to throw that out there so that people are aware of it. Now, when the Fed minutes came out, we saw the market trade up, and we're going to cover that at the end of the day. But I think it's important for me just to point out one in particular that looked to me like it's just going to run. So this is one that we've had in the newsletter for some time. We actually added to it last night and did fairly well with it today. You could see how you pushed through this. So this is called the DTL, downward trend line. And we pushed through this. This is kind of what I've been trying to get people to wrap their head around, okay? Since the end of the inflation, the CPI peak, right? Back here we started talking about the inflation, the possible rate hike, and this is when CPI peaked. The reason I'm bringing this up and why this is so pertinent is this is how we acted today. We pushed through on a higher high. If you zoom into that, you're over that level. Now, whether or not we push or we go sideways for a little bit, with iPhone sales coming out, they're talking about September 7th, iPhone 14. This stock is going to have tremendous momentum, right? They always trade up into those areas. But I have a really hard time believing that Apple's going to continue to grind higher. Apple is now, where are we off the open or off the high? I mean, are we even 5% anymore? Now we're 4% off the high. So you're in a position with this where someone's going to have to explain to me how the market's going to go all the way back down, but Apple's going to stay 4% off its high. Something's got to give, right? So the market and the indexes we'll get to at the end, but something has to give. And what we're seeing is we're just seeing pulling back to certain levels. We saw that with Tesla today, and we went through this in the pre-market live video, the public one. And you can see the cup here. You can see the handle here. You're still above the 200 on Tesla. So I'm not suggesting that you're going to go straight up, but I'm suggesting that you need to deal with the fact of we might just not go straight down again. And I'm seeing a lot of people still wanting to put on the short positions. I'm not sure that that's the right move for anything more than a quick scalp or a trade anymore. And that's where I've kind of shifted a little bit. There's some other names that we should probably focus on, but watch this. To me, it's a wonky cup with a handle that looks like it could go. And we'll see how it acts. Obviously, we have that split coming up. But if you focus on some of these other names that moved today, like Sava, this is what type of market you're in. Okay, you are not in a breakaway, runaway market, nor are you in this bear market where everything's just going to fall down like it's done for the past 2-3 months, right? Where everything, no matter what happened, it just went down. So something like this today, you have news that comes out, and these are notes from the trading room today. But So you have news that comes out that the insider, the director, right, and the CFO are going to buy 100,000 shares in the open market a piece, or they did buy, and the stock bids up on the news. You can see right here, you flip that level and then you just go. In regards to my news, let me just walk you through this. It's a quick lesson so you can understand where I was going with it. RSI hit 90 here. I think at one point it was like 95 or read like 95. So when we got in, the people that got in this got in like the 24s or something around that range, traded it up, and then you flipped right here, gave you another signal. It went. When you got to that level, I was just like, you might want to trim or just get out. You can see the reversal here, trade down. But the point of this is not just this trade, which people did really well on. The point of this is look at 25.55. Look at where you closed, 25.52. So all you're doing with these moves is pulling back to support lines. Now, I'm not saying you're going to go up again $7 tomorrow, but what I'm saying is you're not falling apart. The market's not falling apart. If you look at something like, take NVIDIA, okay, and realize this is when they said we're going to have bad numbers, right? This is when they pre-announced. The stock's done nothing but gone up since then. So, okay, so we didn't go all the way up. And yes, we always have to watch those red bars, right? Because these red bars right here, the tops of those red bars, let me move that down just a little bit right here. Perfect. So the tops of those red bars are always resistance points. So I'll say it again. The tops of those red bars, those long, red, nasty bars, they're always resistance points, right? So we know that. So we want to watch that and we want to be cognizant of it. But I still haven't, this minor uptrend here. Now, if you want to go and try and play with it and short it, maybe you get lucky. Or maybe it comes down again and then goes back up. And we're going to have to get into the indexes. And I'm covering a lot of different names today because I think it's really important for you to kind of grasp what's going on out there. Take lows, okay? We got in this at 190 and 200, and you traded all the way up. You got up to here today, 222, everyone's clapping. All we did was pull back to the 200-day, right? Like, this is actually very healthy action. Look at Walmart. Okay. Yeah, of course, everybody wants to go to 146, but coming back and backfilling and going sideways and then going higher is actually better for your positions. I mean, I know nobody wants to hear that when they're in the trades. They just want them to go higher, but actually setting up for the next leg is really what you want to see. And I think these kinds of names are showing that we're having decent earnings and we're hanging in there. It can always get worse again. And there are signs that you do need to be aware of, okay? There are things that we need to be aware of. And I want to focus on the indexes. So if you are here, okay, and you're setting up to roll again down here, it's an issue. And we need to be aware of it. 205's been resistance, okay? That's definitely something that we want to watch. We're right on that 200-day. And are we rejecting? Yes. My argument is it's just too obvious. It's just so obvious that this is where you would reject and in this manner. And I have been doing this a while, so maybe it's easy for me to spot. I don't know, but to me, that's just so blatantly obvious that I just don't see it. And then again, you're going to predict that it's going to come all the way back, or are you saying that we're going to drop 2 or 3%, so you want to short, right? So the game's changed a little bit with these higher lows, and we kind of have to understand that. Even today, you have the IWM down 1.6%, right? The SPY was down 63 basis points. So if we take out the pre and the post, okay, we closed above the open. This 429.62, we'll just call it 4,300 because that's what everyone's watching on SPY futures. Yes, you're right here. Yes, here's your resistance line. Yes, here's your DTL. It seems pretty obvious that we would have a problem here, right? But we're not down 2.5%, 3% today. And I think that's the point that I'm trying to get at. You're down 60 basis points. Okay, that's not really a reason for a panic, in my opinion, right? So that's something that I would keep in mind. If you take a look at the Qs, same thing, right to that 330 level, and you're kind of wedged in here. I was pointing this out earlier, how the trajectory is starting to change a little bit on these. Let me just remove that one. And what you could see is you could flip, and you can test this 341, just like you did over here. My point is that it's just not going to be this clean if we're going to reject. It's not going to be this glaringly obvious. And the other thing that I will say that my antenna did go up a little bit on today was the VIX tried to rise again, but all the VIX did was get to 20. So we're not seeing a tremendous amount of buying there either. So no one's really buying protection. The markets are somewhat going sideways. Things are not falling out of bed, right? Even the larger names are not really collapsing. You have some names that came in a little bit, but overall, nothing crazy. So for now, I would just watch earnings. The biggest one that I think is going to be for semis is going to be AMAT. I think it's going to be very interesting to see how the market reacts to AMAT, and AMAT is tomorrow. So I think that's going to be one that you should keep your eye on and see how that plays out. So that's it. I felt it was more important to give a general overview on where I'm focused. Watch those key levels we just went over on the indexes. But I don't see a lot here that's got me overly concerned. That's it, everyone. Have a great evening. If you're interested in the trading room, there is a link right here, preview. Just click on it and you can preview the trading room.